Over the last few years, I have seen countless people convinced that something very bad was wrong with them. I mean, like some of the worst pathologies you could think of. And I get it. You wake up tired. You feel overwhelmed. Your motivation disappears, if it was even there in the first place, and your brain is completely foggy and feels like it's non-functional. I have been there where there was a time when you didn't feel like this, but it was so long ago you don't even remember when it was. And then, after all that, you start telling yourself this story. Maybe I'm just lazy. Maybe I'm not built for more than this. Maybe I just can't keep up. But here is what I think you need to hear. And I mean really listen to this because you need to hear this. You are not the problem. The world is changing faster than your biology and your body can keep up. And if you don't understand, we'll call them mismatches, you're going to blame yourself for a system that was never designed for the life that you're living right now. So in this video, I want to show you exactly where these mismatches are happening, the 5 places where I think the modern world hijacks your biology, and how to bring yourself back into alignment. I think this will be one of the most important videos you watch this year, because if you're still watching, I have a feeling you resonated with the first part. This is unfortunately becoming all the more common, and I have suffered from this myself, and I know how bad it can be. But the moment you understand how your body is actually meant to operate, everything gets easier. Your clarity gets better. Your energy gets better, your focus, your drive, your purpose. And this isn't just from grit pushing through motivation, but from your biology finally working how it was meant to again. So I really respect your time. So let's just jump straight into it. And if you see me squinting a little bit, it's pretty early. It's not even light outside fully. And these key lights that I use here are very bright. I just wanted to make sure I got this to you. So let's start with the mismatch of light. Your biology runs on light, literally. Every single morning, the first system that boots up your hormones and your energy and your metabolism isn't coffee. Some of you may think it is, but it's not. It's sunlight, specifically the light that hits your retina and signals your suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is the master clock of your hypothalamus. That one signal sets off this entire cascade. Cortisol rises naturally, as it should. Blood sugar stabilizes. Thyroid hormone starts to secrete differently. Your circadian rhythm really starts to lock into place. And this is what's driving all of this. Light is one of the most powerful medicines that we have. But here's the mismatch that I was talking about. Most people don't see the sunlight until noon, if that. Instead, the first thing that they see when they wake up is a blast of blue light from a phone, inches from their face. Your brain isn't just confused, it's overwhelmed. Your brain's gonna think that you woke up in the middle of the afternoon inside of a Best Buy, which I love Best Buy, but it's really bright in there. The light throughout the day is on a spectrum that is shifting, okay? And the amount of blue light to infrared light to red, it's all different throughout different parts of the day. And this is an incredible oversimplification, but I can pop up a little graph here, okay? This difference in light has different cues for your body. Blue light is not at its peak in the natural spectrum at 6:30 in the morning when you're laying in bed. So when you have your phone right here scrolling through Instagram, your cortisol is spiking drastically at the wrong time. Your melatonin tanks probably quicker than it should have, and your sleep quality is going to collapse the next night. Of course, you combine all this and we wonder why we feel anxious, wired, and unfocused by lunchtime at best. And this is just from the light perspective. You can imagine the issues with seeing the stressors themselves, and I've covered this extensively in other videos. But your biology is screaming for alignment at that point. This is not a biohack, not more supplements, and this is coming from someone who sees great utility in proper supplementation. But your body's screaming for alignment, natural alignment with its biology. You want a single step that will change your energy. Get 10 minutes of sunlight in your eyes within an hour of waking. Do not stare directly at the sun. I have to clarify that. I'm not telling you to do nothing else, but if you had to do nothing else, if you didn't want to fix your entire life, rebuild your entire calendar, just get the light right. Your circadian rhythm isn't a wellness trend. It's a system. It's hormone regulation. It is mitochondrial timing, and it is the foundation of human performance. Right now, I think the modern world is absolutely destroying this. Now, let's move into the second issue. We'll call this the food mismatch. Your body evolved from foods that came from the ground, from animals, and from environments that didn't change much for thousands of years. These are whole foods with fiber, antioxidants, minerals, healthy fats, and proteins that your cells know exactly how to use. But the modern food environment is completely different. And honestly, this is something that I talk about extensively in my book here because I'm so passionate about it and I've seen how much of an impact this can make for people. Of course, I talk about tremendously a lot more in this book, but the research is very clear about what happens when most of your calories come from ultra-processed foods. Here's the real biology behind it. Ultra-processed foods change how your brain regulates appetite and reward. They're designed to be calorie-dense, low in fiber, and hyperpalatable. That combination affects the brain's reward pathways, especially dopamine. You end up feeling less satisfied, less energized, and more prone to cravings. And people will chalk this up as a lack of discipline. But you're literally being hijacked by some of the best food scientists the world has ever seen. And your signaling system controlling hunger and reward is overstimulated. That was kind of the intention. They also alter the gut microbiome. Study after study shows that diets high in ultra-processed foods reduce microbial diversity, and this is a key marker of gut health. A diverse microbiome helps regulate inflammation, metabolism, and even aspects of mental health through the gut-brain axis. Less diversity equals less resilience, and in today's world, resilience is everything. Honestly, now that I think about it, resilience has probably been one of the more important things always. They also promote metabolic stress. I just recently released a video on this. The foods tend to spike blood sugar quickly and then drop it just as fast. Those fluctuations trigger fatigue, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. Not because your brain is necessarily broken at its core level, but because it's running on unstable fuel. I like to make the comparison of imagine that you own a high-end sports car like a Ferrari or a Porsche or something like that, and then you're putting in regular fuel. You need to be putting in premium fuel because that is a high-functioning machine that you need to respect, okay? Your body is the same way. Treat it like a dumpster, it will perform like a dumpster. Ultra-processed foods also create a nutrient gap, even in high-calorie diets, and this is part of the problem. Most ultra-processed foods are low in essential micronutrients, and this is very well documented. Magnesium, potassium, omega-3s, zinc, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. Those nutrients support everything from mitochondrial energy production to neurotransmitter synthesis. When the diet lacks them, the body feels it, mentally and physically. They also increase inflammatory signaling. This doesn't solely mean that they cause disease specifically on their own. And I'm choosing my words wisely there because obviously when you think about this in a full circle effect, there's a different outcome there. But diets high in ultra-processed foods are consistently associated with higher markers of chronic low-grade inflammation. And inflammation doesn't just affect the body, it influences mood, motivation, and cognitive performance. The takeaway is incredibly simple from this section. Whole foods aren't good because they're trendy right now, and thankfully they're becoming more trendy. They're good because your biology recognizes them. They stabilize your energy. They support the microbiome. They regulate inflammation, and they give your brain the nutrients it needs to function at a high level. When people shift even part of their diet towards whole foods, the change in mental clarity and energy is often dramatic. And this isn't just because they're eating clean, and we oftentimes need to redefine what eating clean is because most people take about it in the bodybuilder context, and oftentimes that's really not what I'm meaning here. Now, let's get into the next one, the stress mismatch. And I think this is a really, really big one. Your ancestors experienced stress in short, intense bursts. A predator, a hunt, a storm, a real threat. Then they would recover. They rested, they reset, and they could rebalance their nervous systems. Now, it's very different. Stress is constant. We have notifications, emails, messages, social comparisons, financial pressures, noise, traffic, work, social media, short form particularly. The brain never gets a chance to downshift. And I am a victim of this and suffer from this as well. This is often referred to as sympathetic overdrive. And I'm telling you, I am here with you on this. We all fight this, I think, every single day, especially with, working a job. This is something that you could really get sucked into very easily. It's a balancing act. I wish I wasn't in the trenches with you that, but it's something we need to take care of. Your body can get stuck in fight or flight long after the threat is gone. Here's what that does. Your cortisol stays elevated. Your magnesium can get depleted quicker. Your gut permeability increases. Your heart rate variability tanks. And here's one of the more interesting ones. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decisions and thinking and focus, starts to dim and not light up as you'd want it to. This makes a lot of sense when you think about this simple fact that I'm sure you have felt that when you're overstressed or underslept, etc., you can't think as clearly. Well, we can prove that. You may also experience this as that wired but tired feeling that I talk about sometimes. You're exhausted but unable to relax, or you're overloaded and not performing how you think you should be because of that. This isn't a mindset issue. This is a physiological trap. You're not going to out hustle your way out of that. You won't heal a body that is in sympathetic overdrive. You need to regulate the body first. The rest will follow. That's why slow breathing works. This is why walking works, and I tell everyone to do it every single day. This is why time alone, silence, nature, they are all medicinal. These things are the antidote for a constantly overactive and overstimulated nervous system that we have not adapted to. Right now, your system is suffocating. Now, let's keep moving, and I'm trying to move quicker because, again, I really respect your time here, but I think that you need to hear this. Let's talk about the social mismatch. And I think that we're hitting all of the key and major points here. And again, I think this is incredibly important, so stay tuned. You were built to live in a tribe of probably 100 people, okay? People who knew you, people that relied on you, people who gave you belonging and identity. Now, you scroll through thousands of faces a day with drastic emotional swings in almost every single one. People you don't know, people who don't care about you, people who trigger comparison, insecurity, and subconscious competition. Your brain can't tell the difference between real community and digital crap. You process this all as social information. And here's what this can do. It can spike cortisol. You've heard me say this numerous times already. It activates your fear circuits, disrupts sleep, lowers self-worth, which has a whole host of other issues. It can trigger the emotional centers of your brain. And then we wonder why we feel alone, even with the entire world in our pockets or our hands. Humans probably weren't designed for infinite connection to that source. We were designed for deep connection. When you lose belonging, your sense of purpose collapses. And when purpose collapses, motivation collapses. Because motivation is not a personality trait, despite what many people on social media have tried to make it. It's a biological response to meaning. The modern world gives us stimulation, not belonging. And your nervous system knows the difference. If you remember one quote from this entire video that you want to write down somewhere, make it that one. Now, let's move into what I think might be one of the most important sections, the purpose mismatch. Let me say something that I think a lot of people don't want to admit. Purpose has very biological outcomes. It's not just poetic. It's very neurological, and it can be structural. When you have a sense of direction, when you know what you're moving towards, your brain activates the prefrontal cortex. This is a part of the brain responsible for planning, for focus, executive function, impulse control, identity, and drive. Purpose is the world's best performance enhancer. When you don't have it, the brain defaults to survival mode. You seek comfort, you avoid risk, you procrastinate, you hesitate, and more than ever, you distract yourself. You are numbing yourself to the very beautiful existence that we have. I make entire videos dedicated on this that I highly recommend you watch. I don't think that you do this because you're weak. I really don't. I think people do this because your brain doesn't have a North Star to organize and direct its energy towards. You need direction. Otherwise, you drift. So when people tell me, Matt, I feel lost, or I can't stay consistent, or I keep sabotaging myself, I oftentimes don't question their discipline. Sometimes once we talk about it for a while, we realize that's a factor of it. It's not to say that there's no accountability towards this, but what it usually comes down to is their alignment. Because once we find this lack of alignment, it makes a lot of sense as to why there's no discipline in their life. The body follows meaning. And right now, The modern world has stripped meaning from the everyday human life. But here is the good news. Your body remembers how to work. It just needs the right inputs. Again, because I respect your time, I'm not going to go through an entire protocol on how to regain your purpose, but you will easily find it just scrolling through my recent videos. There is an excellent video on it. Now, let's comprehensively wrap this up so you have a plan. Let's make this incredibly simple. You don't need a new identity yet. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't need a second brain that's complicated or a 50-step morning ritual. You need alignment. So, number 1, light. Morning sunlight. Evening darkness. Let your circadian rhythm run the show. Number 2, real food. Eat things that rot. Just eat them long before they do. Eat things with single ingredients, whole food, single ingredient meals. Eat to lower inflammation and not just convenience, dopamine chasing foods. Number 3, nervous system safety. Slow breathing, walks, stillness. Lower the background stress that your body is drowning in. Number 4, real connection. Text one person that you actually care about. Schedule something in person with that text. Get out of your digital bubble. I normally study alone, but I realized that I was craving someone to be around a little bit more. So I am literally right after this going to a coffee shop to study with a good friend. We're probably not going to talk a lot, and that's perfectly fine, but we're doing it together. Number 5, purpose. Not necessarily a 5-year plan right now, just clear direction. Find one thing to dedicate your focus and direction to. It doesn't have to be for an incredibly long amount of time. Start slower, then you can work yourself into a full long years down the road plan, but we need to start building up wins. Again, I highly recommend you watch a detailed video on this on my channel. When you start living this way, your biology stops fighting the world. It starts working with you again. And the amazing part about this is you don't have to do it perfectly. Your body rewards the attempt. It's been waiting for this. If this resonated with you, if a part of you feels seen or understood, try this for 1 week. 1 week of living like your biology actually matters. Watch what happens next. Your energy will change faster than you think. Your anxiety will shift. Your focus will come back online. You'll feel like yourself again, maybe for the first time in years. And if you want to go deeper into this, into how to rebuild your brain, your energy, and your identity from the inside out, grab my book that I talked about earlier, From Dull to Doctor. It is the blueprint for everything that I talked about here and so much more. It is the science, the strategy, and the lived experience. This is packed to the brim, much deeper than I can go into in a YouTube video, of the real world tools that helped me rebuild my life and that I have watched help countless people do the same. This is the guide that I wish I had had when I was struggling. And that is why I wrote it for you. You are not broken, but you might be misaligned. Fix the environment and your body will take care of the rest. If this resonated with you, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more amazing content like this. I drop an amazing life-changing video like this once a week, if not more. Even more often than that, I drop full text community posts which detail very interesting things. And hit the hype button on this video. It's a new feature that helps this video reach more people. It is completely free. And above all, I know that you know someone this video could help. Send this video to them. It is free and it is the least that you can do to help a friend or a loved one. I'll drop a link to my book at the top of the description. I really do think it can help you. Again, subscribe, do all the things. I don't want you to miss something that will change your life. If you read the comments on my videos, people are really finding benefits, and that is what drives me to keep doing this. I really don't want you to miss that. Anyways, as always, I'm Dr. Matt Jones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.